As anyone who has been dumped at least once before will know, breaking up with a lover is extremely painful. Think about how it hurts, and how empty life feels even when you break up with someone you've been with for 3 to 5 months. Now imagine parting ways with someone you have shared your 25, 30, 35 years with, the person with whom you have maybe 2, 3 children together, half or more of your adult life. This shouldn't be too hard to imagine, since almost 47% of marriages end in divorce. Nevertheless, 70% of divorced people remarry. But, second and subsequent marriages often end in divorce even sooner than the first one. Marriage is really such a weird thing. Yet, in the end, you don't have to get married and divorced to experience the pain of heartbreak. It would suffice to be dumped in high school or university as well. Well, did you know that this pain of breakup can kill you? The most widely believed myth about love is that love is an emotion related to the heart. This is because when we fall in love, especially when we are around the person we are in love with, a very primitive impulse we call fight or flight comes into play. In this case, the brain stimulates the kidneys and commands to secrete epinephrine and norepinephrine to the blood. When these hormones reach the heart, they make the heart beat faster, because more blood needs to be sent to the vital organs in the body, used to fight or flight, like arms and legs. This suddenly accelerated heart rhythm makes you feel as if your heart is tightening. That's all. Otherwise, your heart doesn't even know you're in love. What does the heart know about love? The thing we call heart is a blood pump. For instance, the same hormones slow down the activities of the digestive system, which are unnecessary in case of fight or flight situation. And this causes you to perceive a contraction in your stomach and intestines. The feeling of butterflies in the stomach when we are in love stems from that. Yet, no one regards small intestine or spleen as the organs of love, for some reason. As you can gather, we need to stop associating the heart with love. Love, as in all the other emotions, is a feeling starting and ending in the brain. Yet, like other feelings, it has basic effects in different parts of the body. When you realize that love is associated with the brain, but not with the heart, all of a sudden, most of your experiences start making sense. For instance, the things you experience during love are so similar with the feelings the addicts have when they use alcohol, cigarette or drugs. Think about it, the other name of oxytocin, the hormone, released during love, is bonding hormone. When you spend time with your partner, you release oxytocin and happiness hormones like endorphin and serotonin. These make you feel better during love. Yet, this creates a loop of addiction. The better you feel, the more you want to release those hormones. Your body starts searching for it. The more you release those hormones, the more you connect with that person. And this causes you to want more hormones to be able to experience the same level of feelings, and this vicious circle continues until it reaches satisfaction. This is a complete addiction, almost the textbook definition of the word. So, what happens when you break up with your squeeze? The most basic and primitive parts of your brain don't know what a breakup is. They keep asking for those hormones. But, you know, that your lover is gone. But your consciousness cannot control these primitive parts. The signals fired in your brain are constantly pushing you to seek and find your lover, triggering your memories and urges to satisfy those urges. Yet, no good. They are gone. It's over. So when your heart is broken figuratively, something non-figurative happens. Your brain's chemistry changes. Your body cannot release enough amounts of oxytocin, serotonin and endorphin anymore. Because the element, triggering those hormones is not in the picture anymore. However, your body got used to that former level of hormone, both chemically and psychologically. Your cells cannot work properly when they cannot find that level of hormones, and your physiology starts collapsing. The parts in the brain, getting activating during pangs of love, are the same with the parts, getting activated when there is a physical pain, like getting punched or burned. That's why, the pain of breakup causes a pain in your body. Of course, whether it is love or a hunter attacking you, your body needs to deal with these problems. The first thing rushing to help in this point is morphine. Well, no, I'm not talking about synthetic morphine which is used as a drug. I'm talking about endogen morphine, your brain release, as in popular phrase endorphin. But yes, they are used as painkillers and drugs both legally in hospitals, and illegally on the streets, and they are trying to purging you from your pains. Yet, this is a slow process. It is not something that will go away in such a short time. Therefore, your body needs to struggle with physiologic imbalance in a short term. That's why a high amount of cortisol, which is a stress hormone, is released. Thus, your body obtains the sugar it needs, in order to handle the increased level of physiologic activity more easily. Yet, at the same time, it causes the veins tightens up and the blood pressure increases. You need to breathe deeper and more frequent. So, that is the reason of the feeling of shortness of breath, or the feeling that you are about to have a panic attack when you struggle with pangs of love. At the same time, the amounts of catecholamine like adrenaline and dopamine rise in order to be able to fight the stress. Every time these hormones are released, they cause sudden changes in your heart rate. That's why you feel like your heart is crushed when you suffer from the pangs of love. But, these hormones have such an interesting side effect. As we frequently state in our videos, dosage is everything. The dose makes the poison. The type and amount of the molecule you are exposed, the duration of exposure, and the way of exposure directly determines the dose of this poisoning. For example, when catecholamine is secreted directly from the nerves to the heart, and in large quantities, they cause the heart muscle to freeze, that is, to decrease its function. Moreover, increased adrenaline in the bloodstream causes the vessels to contract, and your blood pressure rises, and your heart has to work harder to pump the same amount of blood. So, hormonal changes caused by love puts an additional burden on the heart. This might cause spasm in the coronary vessels that feed the heart. When it happens, the heart cannot get enough nutrients and oxygen. So, because of the love pain, the access of your heart to complementary nutrients it needs to work properly under pressure reduces. When all this works together, the amount of blood that the heart can pump during each contraction gradually decreases. When this amount falls below a certain level, and these chain problems grow, the pain of the person suffering from love can result in a heart attack and, therefore, the death of the person. So, we call the heart muscle weakening as a result of excessive emotional load, broken heart syndrome. It is called as Takotsubo cardiomyopathy in Japan, the first place it is discovered. Takotsubo means the trap of octopus. As you can see in this photo, the hearts of people who suffer from extreme pain, in particular, the left ventricle shrivels looking like a trap used to hunt octopus. So, pangs of love even changes the shape of your heart. I have been telling it as pangs of love, yet, it does not have to be love specifically. It might stem from extreme stress in school or workplace or having excessive exercise, meaning the things tiring the heart with excessive burden. Actually, broken heart syndrome is not such a common problem. It only affects 1 to 3% of the people who have a heart attack. Yet, 70% of this little amount stems from emotional stress coming from love. In addition, it seems that it affects women more heavily, since 90% of the cases are women, especially women after menopause. The possible reason for this is the higher amount of catecholamine secretion, which I mentioned earlier, due to the estrogen hormone. If you are under 50, you don't have to be scared of dying since you are suffering from a breakup, since only 3% of the cases are under 50. Like I said, you might feel like something is crushing your heart or you are about to have a panic attack. Yet, the possibility for this to turn into a heart attack is extremely low in the young. On the other hand, for the pangs of love to hurt you, it does not necessarily kill you. That excessive emotional burden might cause some serious psychological problems like depression. There are a few things you can do to prevent the pangs of love from getting you down. First, start with understanding that the process you are going through is such a normal and universal thing. Like Marie Curie said, nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more, so that we may fear less. Such wise words from such a wise woman. It is completely normal, if you feel like worthless, useless, sad, lonely, angry and the like after a breakup. Everyone experiences the same thing more or less even though it doesn't seem so from outside. The second, you need to understand that there would be some changes in your lifestyle after the breakup. You may be unable to do the same things you used to do with your partner often, like going to the movies or park. The change in that order might give a little extra burden on your psychological status. Therefore, you need to create a new normal, a new order for yourself. You might adapt new hobbies or form new friendships. The third, you may deal with the problems you have been avoiding. Instead of focusing only on your pain and waiting for it to go away on its own, you can try to think more deeply and internally about your old relationship. Do not forget, all of these are an experience for you, a process making you more mature. For instance, how the relationship that ended made you feel like. What can you learn from that? What are the things you want, and don't want for your next relationship? Was that relationship a healthy one, or are you just romanticizing it now, just because it is over? These are such important questions. And finally, get some help. I frequently mention it in this channel. People see psychological problems like some kind of monster. Won't you go to a doctor if you have a problem in your liver, kidney, or lungs? So, why don't you get help when your brain aches? Opening up to your family or friends, or seeing an expert, at least might erase your feeling of being lost. It might give you a sense of direction. These are no such things to be ashamed of. Human is a social animal. And these social relationships have a physical effect on human beings. And there are doctors for these kinds of problems as well. Don't hesitate to get help. Don't forget that, while you are consciously struggling with these feelings, your brain, which is outside of our consciousness, is actively trying to overcome the physiological effects of the pangs of love. During this process, the neural connections in your brain are rearranged, and your hormonal balance is analyzed. All this recovery process lasts approximately for 3 to 6 months. Therefore, do not expect the pain to go away within a couple of days. Yet, it will subside by time, I promise you. Because the abilities we obtain during evolutionary process so as to fight with the problems, come into play after a lover left us as well, and our brain gets well by time, the pain vanishes. I want to say I hope you would never experience such kind of pain, but, who are we kidding? You either did, or you will. Therefore, the next time you face with this pain, you now know the differences occurring in your body. And more importantly, you know how to deal with it. And don't forget, everything will be alright soon. See you in the next video.